Good afternoon. A very warm greeting from Asia University, Taichung, Thailand. Viqi Ardaniah is going to be the moderator for the next 2 hours. This is 2021 APIEMS webinar, the fifth, Industrial Engineering in Practice. And I would like to say warm greeting for Professor Kono Hirokazu from Keio University, Professor Chen-Fu Chien, National Tsinghua University, Professor Kanchana, Professor Charlle, Professor Yudi, Dean, College of Management, Asia University, Professor Lin, and Director, Institute of Innovation and Circular Economy, Professor Tsing, all participants. And thank you also, Professor and my colleagues, David, Raditya over there, and all the participants. Welcome to this fifth webinar. And it will be very delighted to have you all here. As we are here now, there will be two opening remarks given by Professor Kono Hirokazu, and another one would be Professor Chen-Fu Chien. As everybody knows here, this kind of collaborations among lots of universities, not only in Asia universities, but also universities in Japan and also in Malaysia. So we are hoping that this kind of webinar is going to be conducted again next year. So this is an opportunity on behalf of the committee in Asia University. I'm wishing happy birthday for Professor Charlle. Yes, we are wishing you a very good health, success in career, and also in everything in your life in this year and also in the near future. Without overdue here, to open this kind of to open this webinar fifth in IE in practice, I would like to invite Professor Kono Hirokazu from the Keio University to have opening remarks. The time is yours, Professor.
Yep. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to see everybody in the society. Even though we are not in face-to-face, but through the online. And I'm also grateful for the organizers of this webinar series, because it's a very tough time for the whole world and also in Asian countries. But we are in this way connected, and we can exchange our opinions and viewpoints through our research and teaching, and for the program of industrial engineering and management science region, also the whole world. So during this very tough period of the caused by the COVID-19, and this sort of the webinar series is quite indispensable, valuable for the growth of this society, and also solidarity among the related men. Nothing more for the future of the growth of the research, and also good communication among ours. For this purpose, I'm again grateful for the willingness of the hosting this sort of webinar series. And as a lazy president representing Japan, I'm responsible for doing something else, additional effort for the next year. And also the situation is quite uncertain, but I hope we can get together face to in person next year in Taiwan. Thank you very much once again, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech, Professor Kono. Of course, that we do, all of us here, with more engagements and then more operations, more publications. Now, without overdue, also here, I would like to invite Professor Chen-Fu Chien to have the opening remarks. The time is.
Thank you. And distinguished speaker, Professor Kanchana, Professor Charlle, happy birthday again, and Professor Yudi, as well as our great team, organization, and Professor Viqi, and our friends in university. We feel very grateful, even though this pandemic impact globally, but under the greater leadership of Professor Khon and very proactive arrangement by Asian University, APIEMS, as well as other university in Asian Pacific region, we can organize a number of webinars so that we stay connected and we can see face to face through screen. Although we look forward to see you face to face in Taiwan again in next year. And of course, this webinar, I think they provide a landmark of various activity in our regions, and we care a lot of issues from productivity, quality, sustainability, as well as our global international collaboration, including education, talent cultivation, or university industrial collaboration, as well as journal publication, etc. We look forward to have more in-depth interaction next year in Taichung, Taiwan. Thank you very much again, and thanks for kind support of Professor Khon to lead us, and we look forward to have another great year next year. Thank you.
So because it's very lovely also to have Dean, let's say College of Management here, so that's why we are thanking Professor Lin to be here, and we would like also to invite Professor or coming to all the speak. Professor Lin, are you here to and just short?
Well, I really, Professor Khon and Professor Chien can give us a and helping host the of the web. And I want chat about the next APIEMS conference, and hopefully be held successfully in Taiwan. And once again, wish everybody a wonderful the hot season. Yeah, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lins. And also we have here, welcome to Professor Anthony. So Professor Anthony here, who has also given your time by participating this webinar of the 5th. So this is the last webinar. I hope that everybody here is still engaged with the conversations, with more collaborations in the future. So without ado here, as here the scheduled, the first keynote speaker will be Professor Kanchana and Sutannan. But before we are listening to the presentations of Professor Kanchana, I would like a brief biography of Professor Kanchana. Now she is a professor at the Department of Industrial Engineering Department at University, Thailand. She is the head of research unit on system of industry faculty of engineering on University. Her PhD in industry, West Virginia University, USA, 2001. So at this moment also, for the last more than 5 years, 2010 at present, she holds senior consultant of agri-food and electronics companies. And also since 2007 up to now, she has become a project manager of projects under the Ministry of Energy, Thailand. What a great, let's say, what a great CV. And also she holds academic work as an editor of Engineering and Applied Science of Research Journal, Associate Editor, International Journal of Internet Manufacturing and Services, and the last one, editorial board member of Journal of Industrial and Production Engineering. Without ado, I would like to invite Professor Kanchana to have your presentation now. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Viqi. Okay, please allow me to share my PowerPoint. Have you seen it? Okay. Just a second. Okay.
Yes, Professor, we can see your PPT now.
All right, just a second. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, please allow me to express kindly thanks to Professor Khon, APM President, Professor Chen-Fu, CIE President, Professor Lin, Professor Anthony, and the APIEMS Webinar 5 organizer. And today I would like to share my talk in industrial engineering network in Thailand. The outline of my talk covers the applications areas for industrial engineer and what kind of work that industrial engineer in Thailand do. Okay, and as you may know that industrial engineering tools and techniques, are used to manage the business cost, output, cycle time, performance, and also the customer services. And the IE tools and techniques, such as optimization, simulation, system analysis, and so on and so forth. And outcome, all the benefits, using, the tools and techniques, not only to reduce the cost or reduce the time, but also, they can create, the new technology and the new products, and also, improve the market share, as well. And actually, industrial engineering has been successfully applied, in many areas, in Thailand, such as in manufacturing, agriculture, transportation, in the healthcare, and also, in the services as well. And, I would like, to share you that, one sector that, the IE professors as IE engineers can contribute, such as, giving the consulting service to the government and also to the private sector as well. And most of the project we do, is about, develop the pilot schemes before the implementation, and also some project we also implement for the large scale as well. And let me show you one project that we did last 2 years before the COVID pandemic. Okay, and this project is the project from Ministry of Energy that we have to determine the fuel consumption rate, in terms of litre per kilometer or per ton kilometer of, the vehicles, such as the fuel truck, container trucks, agricultural product, and the buses. Well, and in this project, we use the OBD. It's just like another kind of the sensor to get the fuel consumption of each vehicle. And the data was sending to our database, every 20 seconds. So this project, we collect the data for 1 month and 400 vehicles, for each type. So I mean that, we got a lot of, data, to analyze. So in this project, we use the data mining, to get the fuel economy. In order to give to the government, to set the policy to support, for the private sector. And also, the private sector, themselves, can use this kind of the data, to manage their transportation in order to reduce the transportation cost. Okay. And another project is, from Ministry of Public Health, conducted by the Center of Logistics Management and Healthcare from University. And this project, is about the COVID-19 vaccine track and traceability platform, for the whole chain and patient safety. And in this project, the researcher tried to develop, the IoT platform, the planning and forecasting, for the cold chain logistics. And this is the example of the dashboard that are tracking and tracing, for the COVID-19 vaccines, in the real time. Okay, and recently, our government, has launched, the national competitiveness enhancement for the 10 target S-curve industries. And the 5 first S-curve include the automotive, electronics, and medical and agriculture, and also for the food for the future as well. And later, they also launched, the 5 new S-curve which are on the red line. These are about, the robotic industry, aviation, biofuel, and digital, and also the medical industry. So from this announcement, I believe that there are so many opportunities for the IE, to support the national competitiveness, and I will show you today about, the agriculture and for the food for the future, how IE, do in this sector. And in the agricultural sector, since we have the limited of time, I would like to share you a bit, on this sector, because, agricultural is very important, as it contribute, very high on the national GDP, and it is also the major source of food supply, for Thai people and also for the world as well. And how, food supply is very complex because, the products are perishable and they need the shelf life, and the customer market, seems unpredictable. And important is that the just concern for the safe, and the environment as well. So for the IE responsibility, we not only to provide the public with the safe product, but also we have to think about how to increase the farm and so them, to have the better economic status. Okay, and this one is just like the roadmap that I tried to draw, that what can you do, in agro supply chains. And we can see that, there are so many challenges, starting from the cultivation, harvesting, go to the manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, of the product to the customer. And there are so many problems with different objectives. And we can use, the different IE tools and techniques, to solve the problems as well. And today, I would like to share about, IE, sugar industry, because the sugar cane is very important economic sector, of Thailand, and Thailand is the second largest, of the sugar exporter in the world. In sugar industry, it is operated under the contract farming. I mean that there are so many stakeholders, involved in the supply chain. So that's why, this industry is very complicated compared to other industry. To operate, the production successfully, it is very challenging, for the to concentrate to the production. So we to concentrate the farmer, to transport the third party logistics as well. And this is, the concept of the inbound logistics that the sugarcane industry try to do. And even, we try to implement the IoT, for all activities in the sugar supply chain. But in reality, it is not easy to do that because, we have some challenge or some limitation, for the, so to do sometimes it cannot happen, by today or tomorrow is time. Okay, And this, the first project that we try to share you we can do, in the sugar industry. This, of the sugar industry in the northeastern Thailand, because in this region, the production is about 40% of the total, in our country, and the major growers who are small growers, they are confronted with the high transportation costs because they don't have the truck to transport their sugarcane from their fields to the mill, and what they have is just like the small vehicle and the small amount of sugarcane. So in this case, it is the economy of distance at all. So the mill try to help them, by expanding, the 10 loading station, in the target area as shown in the map, in the upper north, upper right, sorry. So, however, the operating cost, of these loading stations, is very high, just because of they have different machines for use, and the amount of the sugarcane subject to the load station fluctuates. Really sometimes is greater than the capacity of the machine. So what we do, this problem is we try to develop, the transportation planning of the sugarcane, from the fields, to the loading station, and try to use the big vehicle, the semi-trailer, something like that, to transport the sugarcane from the loading station to the mill again. The loading station here are just like, the place, for collecting the sugarcane from the small grower, okay? And this problem, we formulate as the capacity location allocation problem. And we developed the decision support system with the GIS, base, and using the adaptive genetic algorithm, to solve the problem. And the decision support system that we developed is very easy for the mills to use, And outcome of this project is that, the cost, the operating cost from the loading station is reduced about 20%. And another project, is about the sharing in field resource system. This project is for the small grower as well, because in our country, the small grower that we have, is about 80% of the total, and these grower they don't have enough potential in terms of less adequate resource, and they cannot have much money to buy the agricultural machines because they are very, very costly. So the government, try to recommend, the resource sharing system, to solve problem for the supporters. And in this project, we try to give, the machine services, to the small scale growers, from the medium and the larger growers that they have everything. They have staff, they have the machines. So when the machines and the resource of the medium and the large scale growers, they are available from their work, they can share this kind of the resource to the small scale growers. And this project is good, to both sides. I mean that for the small scale grower, they pay less. They don't need to get the big money and buy, the machine and do only some activities for themselves. And also, the utilization of the resource, from the medium or the large scale growers, increase, they get, some money, from giving the service to the small scale growers, in this project. And, we try to use, adaptive large neighborhood search, algorithm, to schedule the machines that we have, and try to make it, possible, both sides for both small scale grower and also for the medium and the large size grower as well. And the outcome of this project is that, based on the number of the real have, the mill have, and the areas, of the sugar cane that we can give the service, increase about, 5.4%. And in this, I can make the conclusion in that to continue, nation and to industries, the competency and the transversal skills of industrial engineer are required. And it is the opportunity, to push the educational system to change. And 3 years, 6 university and 3 university, we conduct the MSIE 4.0 project funded by the ILAMUS. In this project, the competence-based curriculum for the master degree in industrial engineering that support the sustainable smart industry, was developed. So in this curriculum, we try to make or to enhance the transversal skill and multidisciplinary to our students, and they have not only the knowledge but also the skills and also the attitude, for their work. So here are the modernized MSIE curriculum that we developed, for the ILAMUS project, and there are 16 courses. And now, of the use the curriculum in our university as well. In Khon, we use, this curriculum, for the second semester, and we believe that our industrial engineering graduates, can contribute, the national competitiveness, in the near future somehow. And that's all for my talk for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kanchana, for these lovely presentations here. Now, I would like to invite this audience here who are were here to have whether there are some questions or some opinions about what Professor Kanchana has done, especially in agriculture supply chain.
Yeah, Professor Kanchana, I have a question. This is Chen-Fu.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks for your great presentation. There are several parts. But firstly, I remember you introduced your collaboration with Yudi for the design curriculum for this 8.0, as well as to promote IE education in Thailand. I wonder you address the critical problem for Thailand and the needs and the problem facing Thailand as well as other Asian countries, probably quite different from those universities in Union. So, the direction for Thailand EU, how can bridge gap or we to transfer or transfer those what you need of the problem like you are doing that.
Yes, thank you very much, Chien. Actually, this curriculum, this project, EU university, have some collaboration with us in terms that, they provide, the knowledge or the course that, try to develop the technology that may be required, in the 4.0, okay? And we Thai University try to give them, information about, what we are doing, our problem, and before, doing this project, we try, we interview, the stakeholder, in the state, for in what they about the people and what are the leadiness and what are the gaps that they want to go to, industry 4.0. And then, we collect this kind of the data, analyze how to develop, the cost, something like that. And the EU, they give us, some information in terms of, training, about the course that required in this curriculum and be used, to enhance, the competitiveness. That, this is kind of the collaboration between the Thai, university and the EU. Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, look forward to learning from you. Since in Taiwan, we also try to redesign curriculum, and so I'll talk to you for more detail later.
Yeah. Very, very. I more than happy, to share with you all. I think it is very important, to have such curriculum because, the industry, they cannot, push themselves, to industry 4.0 because, one problem which is very important is about the competence of the staff. So that's why we try to prepare, our graduate, for that and try to enhance, the capability, of our graduate as well. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Would it be other questions from the audience? I would like to invite others to have some questions or comments or any opinions for Doctor. Let me take a look. Is there in chat here? Okay. So one question from me, Professor Kanchana here.
Yes.
And I received a question from our colleague. Are the barriers that challenges application of smart agriculture and smart agriculture supply chain in developing country, and how to overcome such a challenge? Thank you.
Okay, the barrier of the smart agriculture in Philippines.
Yeah. In terms of in your context, because I think Philippines is part of the same as Indonesia as a developing country, right?
Yeah. And from my point of view, the most important barrier is, about the staff competencies. So in agriculture, not only for the factory, okay, but also for growers, for the third-party logistics as well. So I mean that, for the industry themselves, they can buy technology, they can buy the software, they can do anything. But, the way to implement, in the whole, supply chain, they cannot do it by themselves. They have growers, to use the type of the machine. They have to use drone, they have to use computer, have to use the mobile, something like that. But, most of the grower, in my country, okay, they have the limitation in using the technology because they are, sort of,
lack of knowledge.
Oh yeah, they are quite old. The young people, they don't want to be the farmer or the grower at all. They try to get another job. Okay, so it is the big challenge, for the agro industry in my country as well. So for myself, I think this one is the first priority. And the second one is, the infrastructure, at my country. Because, we try to be agriculture 4.0, but in reality is it gonna take time because, in some area we don't have the internet, we don't have the Wi-Fi, So this kind of, the problem that we cannot use the new technology, the advanced, technology, the advanced machine, to bring us to be the agriculture 4.0. Yes, it is, my point of view. Yes.
So continuing the previous questions that you mentioned about lack of human resources, like the young don't want to take role on our farmers, and also infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, no internet. And what would be the solution? How to overcome that one? Just to follow up the previous.
Okay. Yeah. As a consultant, for this kind of industry, I give them the information about how to training, the staff, in each category. For example, the staff in the industry of the growers and also the third-party logistics. And we also, invite, the expert, in each area to demonstrate, how to use the machine, how to use the technology, something like that. And what is interesting is that the farmer, the third party, is to change what they have done before, until they can see that if change, it's going to be the benefit for them. So that means that we try to have the workshop. They are training, the in-field training, on training, and let them, try to do by themselves. And it's going to take time. It's more sustainable.
Yeah, it's lovely to have like kind of the solutions. Usually job trainings and then also workshops would offered as a part of the solutions in these challenges. Anybody here, or I would like to still invite the audience to have any comments, some questions for Professor Kanchana. Thank you, Professor Kanchana, presentation. Now we go next presentations. Charlle is giving a presentation first as a full research department of Industrial and Systems Engineering of the LaSalle University. Degree in Industrial Engineering from the same university, that would be the LaSalle University. And she obtained her PhD in Industrial and System Engineering, National University, Singapore. Interest and significant contribution to the scientific literature in operation research, an framework called target-oriented robust. Wow. So, without Charlle to give your presentation, the time is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Viqi. So let me share my screen. So I hope the now. Okay. All right. So my presentation today is going to be more on the technical side, I'll share what my research is all about, which Viqi already mentioned is about target-oriented. So how it was actually created and what are the since because developed this my PhD and through the year some improvements to it. So good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My presentation is about the integration of uncertainty in decision planning systems, and that is through the use of target-oriented optimization, or TORO. From here on, I'll just use the shorthand TORO. So, in the 1960s, probably some of you are familiar with J. Forrester. He's the founder of system dynamics. And according to him, there are three aspects to decision-making. So, all decision-maker starts with the ideal concept we aiming for. And then along the road, he'll be exposed to actual conditions. What are the current scenarios or what are we currently experiencing in our systems? And thereby, there's always a gap between the two. This gap drives our action. So it's a cycle, it doesn't end. Because we know that targets will continuously change and evolve. And so we're going to continue to achieve our ideal state. And with this, why is there a gap? Because of the uncertainties. It could be measurement uncertainty, estimation or forecasting errors. So for example, we might assume that the demand right now is going to be 50, only to have or if we're sales, if we're like in the retail area, we might project it's like 1,000. A pandemic happened. The actual scenario will be completely off, right? Unexpected perturbations, incomplete IC data. And we have our elements most often than not dealing with incomplete data. Okay? And in the 1990s, one of the proponents of robust optimization found out that a slight realization, I'm talking about, I'm putting this to the context of optimization. A slight realization of uncertainty could result in an infeasible or significantly suboptimal solution. So to make the point, to highlight the point, their study actually that even a 0.1% perturbation in the data coefficient of your model could result in infeasibility. Okay? So they 100% calculation. It would render our models almost useless, right? And so this actually brings to mind that we have to prepare for these uncertainties whenever we plan for something. Okay, so what are the means by which we deal with uncertainty? The most common we know is sensitivity analysis. But sensitivity analysis is post-mortem in nature. The answer is there, and we couldn't really do anything about it. We would just know how well it will perform against uncertainty. It's impossible for us to know how to improve the safety of our solution. Another common way is through stochastic optimization. Stochastic optimization, while it is able to prescribe plans that would incorporate uncertainty, it would require specifications on the probability distribution. So, highly strict assumptions, and the optimal solution is highly sensitive to these distributions, which again, most often we don't really know. Another yield models. So very expensive models that might be impossible to actually solve when we're dealing with large-scale models. There's and it's bust optimization. There's few on the distribution. The support will do like knowing the maximum and the minimum value parameter. It leaves problems such as linear programming. it deals with hard constraints, so you're guaranteed that the solution remains feasible within the assumed range of changes in your parameters. However, it's overly conservative. So here, it's you give up make sure solution remains feasible matter the realization in the real world. Okay, so in order to address these things, okay, we have what we call Bert Simas and Sim in 2003 proposed what they coined as uncertainty bit. Here, they allow the decision maker to specify how much uncertainty that decision maker is willing to experience. And now this is our work, robustness index. So we, Professor Ang and myself, we instead propose a robustness index. So it is to find a solution that would maximize the index. So we, instead of specifying beforehand, you try to maximize this. Okay, you evaluate how much the current plan will handle. There's more to it. I will explain in the succeeding slides. So, in summary, the robustness index measures the system's ability to achieve the performance requirements under uncertainty. Okay, this because dealing with target. So it comes from pricing concept proposed by Simon. It was even earlier in the 90s. He coined the term satisfice, and that's from satisfy and suffice, which is to him how decision makers deal with problems. Okay, there's a fight between idea and reality because decision makers tend to choose the first available actions, which ensure that certain targets are achieved. So rather than optimizing finding the maximum profit, a decision maker would just set a target, try to achieve a target. Because in reality, when we do an investment, we don't really know what the maximum profit is. But in our heads, we know what the return of investment that we would want. And this is the concept that we use to develop the robustness index. Subject to a target, okay, so you specify your target, you now try to maximize the robustness index. So the concept of satisficing and optimization is again not new. We're not the first one to use this. That's because it's are often natural for decision makers to speak. And being industrial engineers, we're very familiar with chance constraint programming, right? So this maximizes success probability, but this is still connected to stochastic optimization, and that's why it suffers from like intractability and the same critiques that I've mentioned on stochastic. So now let me just go through this briefly. I won't be too technical. Let me just explain our concept. So the z tilde would be a vector of uncertain parameters, and we simply equated it to a z bar. So that's your nominal value. It could be an average. It could be your starting point. And the z would be the perturbation. So you start with the 100 and z is 100. So that means you're assuming that it could be double. And now your perturbation could be from 0 again to the maximum value, that is z. Okay, for largest perturbation, that would be z. Okay, so for the largest perturbation, this is the z. Okay. And if you don't have any perturbation, then that's just equal to your nominal value. Okay. Now you see a variable here, gamma, and gamma is how we parameterize robustness index. We just set it as a 0 to 1 value, so it could be thought of as a percentage. Meaning, if gamma is 1, then that's the maximum perturbation. Okay, but if gamma is 0, then you're assuming that you don't have any perturbation. Okay, the larger the gamma, the larger the uncertainty set will be. So you can think of this as in an analogy, if you're risky, okay, you're okay with setting gamma to 0, okay? But if you're very conservative, then you want to set gamma to 1 because that will allow you to consider the largest possible, okay, variation in your data. Okay, so you're uncertainty averse. Because if you just set it as like 0.9, then that means you have a 10% chance that, okay, your assumptions would be in that 10%, something that you did include in your decisions. Okay, so let me just skip this. Anyway, the publications, if you're interested, the detailed discussion could be found in the publications that we hear later. In summary, the idea is the robustness parameter gamma measures the ability of the system to achieve performance requirements under uncertainty. Okay? So again, the thought is to maximize this index through your decision variables, all the while, okay, ensuring that the constraints like the targets, the system constraints would be satisfied. Okay. Now let me just... So how do we solve it? We solve it actually using a local search algorithm. So it could be a common algorithm that you know, but shown golden search, anything that is convenient. And the maximum robustness level could be obtained by solving the model iteratively. Again, because we're going to be using a local search. So it's solved as a model wherein you try to move one gamma, higher gamma, until you reach the maximum gamma. Okay, now let me just share how this could be applied. Yeah, I'll be sharing an APM cache replenishment problem. So it is actually part of the dissertation of my advisee, now Dr. Tanwan. Okay, so first we put the ATM cache replenishment as a chain problem because Toro is found to work well with network problems. Okay, we've tried this in different industrial engineering problems, and it actually performs really well for network like supply chains, logistics, and so we try to put the ATM cache problem into a supply chain context. So one of the primary operations of a bank is cash logistics. Okay? A cash chain may be considered as a typical supply chain, wherein the product involved is your cash that you need to distribute to different ATM machines. This problem captures two common subclasses of supply chain management problems in replenishment routing. And one of the main challenges in managing ATMs is cash demand uncertainty. So because if overstock means you put more money into an ATM machine than needed, then you lose interest income. While if you understock, then there's potential customer dissatisfaction. Your customer goes to a machine only to find out that there's no money inside. So current approaches used in the literature, classical stochastic optimization. However, again, probability distribution is required, especially if you're dealing with hundreds of machines, then you need to specify a distribution for each machine. Okay? The solution performance depends on demand following specified distributions, again, for each machine. So this could be highly computationally intensive or very tedious to do in the side of a decision maker. And so existing works rely on approximation techniques to reduce complexity. So the decisions in that we management and collection plan. So when to visit each ATM, how much to deliver or collect from each ATM, and the routing plan, the sequence by which you visit the ATMs. The objective considered minimize. So in the context of this having a so some assumptions we use: deposits and withdrawals are uncertain. ATM and vehicles have respective holding capacities, and no transshipment cash between ATM units. The routes start and end at the depot. Okay. So showing you the results. The green is the deterministic model because we had to have a starting point. Okay, so this is going to be the standard by which we evaluate the other solutions. Okay, the blue, the results of the Toro. So these results were subjected to Monte Carlo simulation. So we considered 150 samples, wherein demand and the demand will be the uncertain, and the withdrawal amount is also uncertain. Okay. So the performance is here. It's plot against the mean and the standard deviation in terms of the cost. Okay, so this again, the green would be your deterministic, and the blue dots will show the different levels of your gamma. Okay, so for example, if you have a 0 gamma, that means no uncertainty, no degree of uncertainty was considered, and it actually performed the worst. Okay, you incur the highest cost if you don't consider any uncertainty at all. Okay, if you consider if you tend to be very conservative, then that's a 1. It's also not good because the best performance would actually be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so this is just a profile. Actually, we're not saying that it's the best solution or we're giving the decision the opportunity to decide himself. For example, I'm okay having a higher cost, but if that means I'm protected against uncertainty, then I'll go with a 1.0 gamma. I'll choose the solution giving that. But if I'm to give a bit of uncertainty, to risk of the uncertainty in order to get a lower cost, then I'll give the solution profiles. That's what we're giving to decision maker, a profile of solutions. So this is obtained again in polynomial time because you're solving it in a linear fashion. And this is the traditional Toro. Obviously, in the span of 10 years, some improvements have been made, and we actually are now gearing towards data-driven robust optimization. Okay, so let me just share what this is. Data-driven to presume the data to be known accurately. So the objective of other researchers were to tighten the confidence region because you don't want a really large uncertainty set. You want to be accurate as you can. And so other researchers actually tend towards machine learning. And this is something that me and my students have done. So one, again, she just graduated. Or that technology, it's a data-driven Toro. Because in Toro, it's a thing. Will have your data that is on through your planning horizon. With a data-driven thing, we close the loop. Instead of having an open loop, we close the loop and create a feedback system. Once the first set of decisions arrive, you now have the capability to adjust uncertainty, and you're thinking to get or go into a better set of decisions later on. So you're able to update this as new information arrives, and that's closing the loop. So some of the techniques that were used involve regression, detection intervals, so on. So for the ATM cache, after the implementation of decisions for the first period, okay, the ability to update the information, invent new demand, feedback, as I mentioned. And once the feedback enters the system, then we use the regression algorithms I mentioned, the data science techniques, machine learning, and we create another, or we update the uncertainty set. Okay, so this is just some of the data processing that were done. Okay, again, I won't go into the technicalities of this, but I'll instead show the results. Okay, so you might see that there's a different result now, because here we consider the possibility of stock outs. Okay, like we assign the penalty for the stock out. That will be the basis for the new information. So this is the deterministic result, and this will be the thorough result. Okay. The classical robust would be the first one, meaning the very first version of the robust optimization. So again, the thorough result shows promise. It gives a better overall cost to the system. And now here is the new one. Okay. The purple would be the one having a closed loop. Okay, closed loop information. Meaning feedback is now placed into the system. Okay. And we just compared it to the old version. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a demonstration, but we're just showing. My objective today was just to show you that there are different. There are still means by which we could integrate uncertainty without having to contend with that has long been the problem in our field. So sometimes we just give up. We just decide to go into approximation techniques rather than explore the other means that we could deal or integrate these information to our models. Okay. So in conclusion, the current study, the current developments that we have integrate the concepts of data-driven robust optimization, target-oriented robust optimization, and feedback. It reduces conservativeness and improves system performance under uncertainty through maximizing the index and leveraging on the most recently available information. So endogenous uncertainties are uncertainties that just get revealed after certain decisions are made. So these are captured, because discounting these in relationships lead to significantly suboptimal solutions. Okay, so that's it for my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Charlle. I heard exactly how Toro worked well in network problem and also showed more strengths compared to other approaches here. Before I ask, probably I would like to invite audience here, whether you have questions or opinions or comments for presentations presented by Professor Charlle. Now I would like to invite any audience here. Are there any questions from audience? Yes, while we are waiting for questions from the audience, I received one question, Professor Charlle. Is this model potential to be applied to such theories of sustainability, and how to do it? Also under the TBL perspective, especially in the social and political perspective.
Actually, yes, because as mentioned, it works well with network problems. It's very flexible in the sense of, in terms of application. We already have studies using this, like in renewable energy, most especially in energy networks involving renewable energy. Because we know that when we have investments on this, like solar or hydro and all those, we're dealing with a large degree of uncertainty. We don't really know what the yield will be, right? In our solar panels, or if we do with hydropower, we don't know, okay, whether we'll be able to garner or harvest the energy that we need. So those could easily be placed in the model that would guide us in our investments. We don't need very detailed information on distributions in the light. Even knowing that it could be like 10 kilowatts to 100 kilowatts would be enough. So it's better than nothing. Okay, so that's what we're sharing here, that you can integrate uncertainty without having to make very strict assumptions on your uncertain parameters.
Thank you. Are there further questions of the audience here, comments for Professor? And what would be in your, and how, do you think that would be like limitations of your model? Limitations that you, so far, have you recognized any limitations?
Yes, well, the first one obviously is what I mentioned, because still, no matter how you put it, it's going to be more conservative. And that's why slowly we're trying to build, trying to address the weakness we see when Tsing, the uncertainty set, locks you in. Okay, it limits what you can achieve. So now we're exploring this direction, trying to integrate other scientific methods, not being constrained with just optimization. That's why we're exploring data science techniques. So we're not yet done, and hopefully we could improve on the method in the coming years. Yeah.
How long have you been working for this story, Professor?
Oh, yeah. As mentioned, I started this during my PhD. Maybe 8 to 10 years, yeah.
Wow. But the results would be more beneficial for a long period, right? I guess so.
I hope so.
Yeah. So are there any questions from audience before we proceed to the third speaker? Okay, so probably you can hold your question. Now I would like to call Dr. Yudi, but before that, let me read the biography of Dr. Yudi Fernando. He holds a PhD and as an associate professor at the Faculty of Industrial Management, University Malaysia, Pahang. And he has been appointed as a visiting professor at City University, Malaysia, Universitas Airlangga, professor from Universitas Airlangga, and Universitas Brawijaya, and also Chung-Ang University, Korea. And currently, he is serving society as the Vice President, the Society of Logisticians Malaysia, Pertubuhan Pakar Logistik Malaysia, 2021 to 2023, and previously served as a Logistic Malaysia Council member at the national level from 2014 to 2016. So he is a former Deputy Dean of Research and Postgraduate Studies at the Faculty of Industrial Management, University Malaysia, Pahang. And he's been working in the electronics industry for several years before joined academics. Now, without overdue here, he's going to present the implications of Industry 4.0 for circular economy-based reverse logistics. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Yudi Fernando to have your presentation. The time is yours.
Okay, Viqi, could you please put me as a as a speaker so I can share my screen? It seems like now I'm as attendee.
Now you can share.
Let me try. Okay, give me a few seconds. I'm not sure what's happened. Okay. Right, can you see my slide?
I think we can see. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Viqi, and thank you for APIEMS for inviting me to deliver a talk today. It's a part of our humble project that been recently done. We are looking on how we can integrate the ideas of reverse logistics with the circular economy. And of course, there is a debate that say that the circular economy is a part of reverse logistics. And reverse logistics is a part of the closed loop supply chains and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of debate, and at the same time, some people might thought that they have, a difference between one to another. So that we have the circular economy-based reverse logistics look like and the implications, of course, for the industry to utilize 4.0. Yes, even though the Prof Chen mentioned about industry 3.5, yeah, but still in Malaysia they wanted to have a 4.0 as a complete one. So we are in the progress on that, right? Okay, well, reverse logistics is not new concept, especially when defects product and light product appears in the end, and the company wanted to have additional income. How we can remanufacturing back and value on that. It's easy to say rather than when we to big companies, most of them have difficulties in terms how to assess the end life product and so on and so forth, right? And reverse logistics is actually need collaborations, need a collaborative mechanism with other vendors, with the suppliers, and of course with the end user as well. And how does this reverse logistics actually can be well integrated in the circular economy concept? And however, of course, not many people capable how to collect remanufacturing back. The most important is how to minimize the mistakes and defaults, especially when you have a defect product, if you have a scraps, then how we can minimize this, because the idea of circular is not only to control the quality of product, but of course to maintain, the performance of the company and can be productive enough, right? And so what we found from the literature review, we found that not many companies is really interested to apply it, especially on reverse logistics, the circular economy. In fact, Malaysia itself, when we listen, most of the company not interested to join the movement because they might thought that, we have to invest on this. So they might thought that in the short term they will earn, profits, but they are not. Basically, they might take time for them, example, a few years and enjoy the benefit for it. And reverse supply chains, again, is challenging, because we know that the volatile return rates, sometimes the company can use it, can recycle it, can remanufacturing it again, but sometimes the value itself cannot be that much, and we might need to explore more. I think this is everyone know about the concept of the circular economy. I'm not going to talk that much about it, and we can see that the application itself, many big companies already enjoy the benefits, of circular economy supply chains. But the idea here is not only to collect back from the end life product, but the idea here to prolong, to share, to reuse, to redistribute, and to refurbish again and remanufacturing, such of add value to end of the product. Well, yes, I do agree, and everyone, I believe that agree. Hey, circular economy best reverse logistics is all concept. So, what are things new here that we want to understand more, right? Yes, as I said earlier, logistics could be technically associated with circular economy and sustainability. However, in fact, the similar concept, they are actually different. So how does it different, and how we can help the circular economy to extend themselves, and they can well integrated, blended with the idea of circular economy. Well, this is a criteria for the circular economy. We have basically about 3 criteria. So the first one, this should be fit to improve business sustainability. That focus more on the supply chain operation. The second criteria, what we can see here, the sustainability concept could be a closed loop, that could be reverse logistics as well. And the third criteria here, they need to offer a better value and practical solutions to achieve the competitive advantage. If your reverse logistics doesn't contribute to the company, especially for profits optimizations, so that could be not work well. So you might only, practicing the environmental best activities, but not gain the benefit on it. So the given justifications, basically, yes, the circular economy somehow a lot of people has been defined it in the literature review, and there is no one single concept definitions that people use as a consensus. The United States, mentioned about it. European Unions mentioned about it. So, the circular economy best refers to logistics. It's basically extended from a circular economy literature based on the a few criteria just now, right? So we focus on operations, and then after that, we have combined the concept of circular economy and refers. Basically, we have to focus on the two domains. That's a company mostly having difficulties to manage the reverse logistic. The first one is the product returns and product recovery. So this is the concept that been conceptualized by us, our research group, where we can see that now reverse logistic is not capable enough to integrate, the energy is not well integrated to have, kind of rating, and not really capable enough to measure, to calculate how much the emissions and the waste they can reduce, how much proof for waste emissions. With circular economy based reverse logistic, those energy management, the energy carbon capture, waste recycle, all those domains can be monitored very well. So that's why the blended concept of circular economy based reverse logistic should come to the picture. So we have one case that we recently, used as a case in our research. So we name it as a XYZ. As a company, is a well-established company, being owned by, a British company, been established in 1976, currently located in the east coast of Malaysia. So we are now in the east coast of Malaysia. The focus mostly on what I call that for the vehicles, car manufacturing. So this is a leading company on innovations, and they are already implementing the circular economy concept. And we wanted to know that before and after the implementations, how much they can improve, and what are the actual solutions that they can use. What I call it, the domains of IR 4.0. This is a mantra that everybody like it, especially now in Malaysia. The government put more effort, give incentive, and encourage company to adopt, the circular economy and IR 4.0 concept. This is a company, they are focused more to spare parts and electronics. And this is the data that we collected from the company, and we found that the failure costs are mostly come from scraps, and then you can see also from the staff, could be the staff unable to detect the defects by the current technology and their own expertise. Well, the failure cost is the company have to bear after disposal of the scrap waste. And the problem is that the scrap itself is unable to be remanufactured. So the company have to throw away and put, in whatever conditions, or perhaps, the scavengers might collect it back, and not sure whether there is a value for that. It's a big company, and they already know that how important to remanufacturing. This scrap and waste come from defective product in production line, and return defect product by the client is quite a lot. And the clients tell them that this product, cannot be used in the long term. So in the perhaps a few years, they have to come back. So they love a critical image, and we can again use that. And this is, of course, the loss for the company and impacts overall performance and environmental sustainability. So the company wanted to see that how they can, can detect the defects and how they can minimize what I call the scraps in the end. So they might consider to use the IR 4.0 technologies, and we already explored a few technology that we consider. And after talk to the company might suggest that we can use like a sensor or detection program that we can help the engineers and those operator who working in the production line to find the defect mistakes during the productions. And as we know that these are some flows on how the company found the defects on their spare part, then they receive the defects, and then after that they unpack the unit from the cartons, and then after that they visualize. If they fail, then they put it as a scrap. If they are success, then they construct the manufacturing process, and after that they do manufacturing again and do the visualization whether remanufacturing is successfully being executed. And after done, and then after that they can ship to the client back. However, so the company now noticed that there is one function so that they can help them to defect the product to the process, so they can see that to what extent they can improve it. Yeah? So this is a very useful one. The company used a 3D model inspection. They actually integrated only soft, also the sensor in the production line, and based on the observations, we found 3D model is helps a lot, especially to help decision makers, to help the engineers to that things they need to implement. This kind of activities should not proceed for the next one. This is what we call it the improvement made by the company, and the company enjoy the outcome of the benefits, from the 3D adoptions as well as artificial intelligence programs to analyze the defects, and they can put it as a well, product back. So what a lesson learned that we have today, then what we share to you, we humbly acknowledge that the technology of the 7 pillars of IR4 help the company not only to scrap, not only to reduce the waste, not only to remanufacturing the waste, but it helps the company to identify which and where the defect come from, and of course can also help the company to decide which one they can recycle it back, which one they can remanufacturing back, which one they can give the more value added to the company, become the better one. And of course, the company, if they are not able to detect the defaults, they are not able to detect their, the process not well, then of course they will lose their profits. So improvement integrated into the company that can help them to improve their excellent performance, especially IR 4.0 is not a part of the technology anymore, but it's a part of the culture of the company, it's part of the spirit, it's part of the philosophy, how the company achieve the business excellence. Well, that's my presentations. I pass back to Viqi.
Thank you, Dr. Yudi, for the presentations about the first logistics you have presented. Now, I would like to invite any audience to give some comments or questions for Dr. Yudi Fernando here.
Hi, Yudi. This is Chen-Fu. As you have worked in industry for a long time, and your research and presentation also very related to the industry needs. But what we observe in Taiwan is now things more, although it was quite popular or quite hot topic, for example, Industry 4.0 or even the Industry 5 I mentioned earlier. But it's that a company they are facing the truth that this is not that easy or like a quantum jump
in a short time. So some companies start to hesitate, or maybe also the solution provider, the consulting firm, they will start to selling other things rather than Industry 4.0. But of course, in my opinion, it will take a long way. So what will be your suggestion or your observation for us as a researcher, and as we believe that our industry need to transform or migrate? How can we help them to keep this path in a sustainable way? Thank you.
All right. Can I answer directly, Viqi?
Yes, Dr.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Professor, for your comment. Basically, that's happened now in Malaysia as well. It's not only in Taiwan. Easy to say, and everyone talk about Industry 4.0. Everyone talk about sustainability. In fact, the grassroots itself, the company have difficulties to adopt it. Well, we believe that now the successful, implementations, adoption of a circular economy and the sustainability itself based on the triple helix. So where, the private and the public collaborations, industry collaboration, higher, institution research, and also the society, they have to work hand in hand to bring this concept well understood by not only the industry but the society. In our curriculum, in our faculty industrial management, the business industrial technology management student, they now integrate the concept of Industry 4.0. You know what? Just tend to visit the company and to explore more whether the company have difficulties. If yes, then we can apply or we can offer them the consultancy project. And yes, Professor, I do agree with you. It's not only about the technology itself, but it's about the philosophy of doing the business. It's about the philosophy how we can achieve the business excellence. The industry won't do it if they might not get any, confidence. What they do, can get the money as a returns. When you talk about how much the profit they will get based on the practice or any examples, other the company are implemented, then they get profit. Definitely, everyone will go for it. So, in my humble opinions, they might take time, and everyone should work together. It's not only professor in university. It's not only the industrialists. It's not only the governments, but everyone have to work hand to hand. And we always, have a benchmark from our, neighboring country or maybe other global best practice. So, Professor, this is my answer. I hope that you're okay with my answer. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I agree with you, and I do believe since we have this APIEMS, a great platform among countries in Asian Pacific region, we should also take this platform as an opportunity to keep promoted, because it's too hard earlier. But now it's to burn out issue, and we'll start to the other area, especially those, like I say, consulting firm or solution providers. They want to create new buzzword. But for us, I do believe that this is an opportunity, especially for industrial engineering, to help our society and our industry. So I very agree with you, and that is why earlier I also asked Professor Fernando about their transformation of curriculum design, etc. So I think we have a lot of issues to discuss and collaborate in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chen, for your comment. We are really well motivated with your comment to work further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chien. Yeah, for other audience, there were some questions and comments and opinions towards Dr. Yudi Fernando's presentation. While we are waiting for other questions, I would like to ask you one question again, Dr. Yudi, because I received one question. In your opinion, what is the difference between the reverse logistics and circular economy, as well as the closed-loop supply chain and the relationship among them?
All right. So let me explain to you first about the first logistic. The first logistic means that the activities that you recollect, you recover, but they focus on that domains. While for the closed loop, they're similar with the circular economy. They start using backwards instead of the linear economy. So they collect back, and then the manufacturing, and after that the process until the end user. Well, the circular economy is a no waste at all. So how they can minimize it? It's there is no waste. It's a concept. It is for me what I said just now is a philosophy of doing activities. So the company need to redesign back, their production flow, their transportation flow, the way how they collect it back. It's not only best for the West. Reverse logistic, closed loop, still, they recognize there is a waste over there. But while circular economy, no more waste. We are talking about, all
Zero
fully
waste.
utilize it. Yes. So that's the idea, Viqi. My humble opinion, it could be, open for debate.
Yeah. Now it's a very, very current trend and very, let's say, very hot topic for the research at this moment. Now, any further opinions or comments from the audience here? No? So I think that we are almost about to end the sessions of this webinar 5. I would like to give short comments in this very interesting, in which I can learn a lot of things from Professor Kanchana, from Professor Charlle, and also Professor Yudi. That one thing that I can note is about, some things I can note is about, in every developing country, like Indonesia as well, because I'm from Indonesia, there must be challenges like human resources. As Professor Kanchana said, that lack of knowledge, how to do the technology itself. And then also running out of or lack of the infrastructure, no internet, especially like in my country, Indonesia here. So we are in an archipelago. There's a lot of islands, and then that would be more challenges in that case. And for the second speaker, I also take some important things here is that about the network problem that can be solved with Total. And also Total here can be also supporting for the theoretical concepts of sustainability, because it can be implemented to identify the renewable energy sources, as I have understood. And the last one here from Dr. Yudi, I also learned that reverse logistics, how the reverse logistics could, the difference, and then the circular economy, no waste, that as you said about how we try to reduce waste without producing waste at all. Now, so that would be very interesting to hear from these keynote speakers, and we do hope that this webinar doesn't stop here, that we can have more professors from various universities and a lot of ideas in which there are more collaborations in this case. Now, to end up here, Professor Viqi, are you ready to end up this lovely webinar? Would you like to say something to end this webinar, Professor Viqi?
You can just close this seminar. It's okay.
So I think that thank you once again for the opening remarks from Professor Khon, Professor Chien, Professor Kanchana for your time, lovely time, and then Professor Charlle, Dr. Yudi Fernando, and lovely. And then we also thank you for those people who are behind the scenes, Ardaniah, who also helped me with this rehearsal and then the technicalities, and also Dr. David also as well helped me with the technicalities. Dr. Chien, especially Dr. Chien, who has been responsible since the beginning. Thank you very much. So that's at the end of today. We do hope that we can see you in another time for better and for much brighter ideas. Bye-bye and have a nice day. Have a nice, great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.